Arcane Amphitheatre, Episode 76.5, Dear Diary, Entry 3. Been quite some time since I did one of these. At least it feels like it. The Beluseo didn't quite go as we hoped. In some ways, though, it went surprisingly well. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I've been on the road a while now, probably worth remembering what got me to this point. I, Kaixus Aaravani, sole heir to Aaravani armors, a role achieved by the brutal elimination of my 4 siblings, was forced from my home after my father, Malumor, discovered what I had done. It began at the ball, celebrating the new governor of Rafael. It was there I met everyone for the first time. Ajax and Iska, a chronergy wizard and his young sorcerer companion, Raggax, a pain-loving goblin and disciple of Leviatar, Sheelal, a quite hideous amalgamation of parts with a background in thievery, Aaravani, the sensible one amongst us. He receives letters from his mysterious benefactor. We only learn his true name later, as he initially tried to hide his identity by way of his alternate identity, the half-orc Jinmasu. Then me, of course. Kaixus, the arcane armorer and betrayer of family. They all came to the ball for a different reason, but our goals were quickly united. After fending off attackers at the ball, we were recruited by my father to retrieve some stolen goods of his. Turns out, it was a trap. My father learned what I had done and set a trap to kill me and my new friends, just as I had killed his children. We barely escaped. My father had not only tried to kill me, but he enacted a secret grand plan to take over Rafael himself and send it into the sky to become a flying city. We stumbled through the sewer system, falling out a drainage pipe just as the city took off into the air. It was a rough first night, but we traveled on. We passed a fortune-telling Leonin and the site of a grievous crime of Raggax's on the way to our first destination, Raggax's old home. We aided him in the reclaiming of his home, though not much of anything remained. At the time, I didn't feel so bad for the murderous masochist, but maybe I should have. Next was Smolder Rock, proper civilization to reset and recuperate. On the way, we encountered a Bogo Brothers caravan. Thinking it easy money, and admittedly this was a low point for me, we decided to rob it. Of course, of all the caravans Bogo Brothers must have, this one had Bogo himself on it. As I was the only one caught, I was saddled with millions of gold in debt to the one who does capitalism best. I could remove that if we helped him with a little heist he needed done in Smolder Rock. Rob his gold from the city's bank. Eventually we made it to Smolder Rock, a mining city, albeit quaint, sitting atop a river of lava. Quite a feat of arcane engineering, Smolder Rock. It's a shame we had to blow it up. We spent an entire day planning for this heist, but 2 crime-loving pals, Raggax and Sheelal, wanted to go on a small crime spree, a bender, if you will. It ended in the deaths of 2 people and the entire town went on lockdown. It was pure, unadulterated chaos. Terror flooded the streets as we were forced into hiding, the full brunt of the city's law enforcement hunting us down. We faced monsters no city should have within its walls. Stone giants, Medusa, and worst of all, corrupt politicians. It was clear Smolder Rock would not let us leave alive, especially considering the elevators, the only way in and out of town, had been disabled. With our chance missed and the ability to leave town taken from us, we tried to lay low, but the town's mayor was intent on finding us. Things escalated to the point we were forced to initiate an evacuation protocol by sabotaging the arcane power gems that held the lava at bay. Even then, the mayor would not evacuate the city. Ultimately, my father arrived. A surprise, but we weren't exactly being subtle. I was almost happy to see him as he managed to evacuate the city. Almost, because he did call for our heads. Meanwhile, we found a secret door in the blacksmith's home that led underground. We sought shelter there as the town crumbled. Within, we found Brander, a giant and founder of Smolder Rock. He was wary of us at first, a reasonable reaction, but ultimately aided us. We even learned he was connected to Zai, Era's mysterious benefactor, and that our finding him was a test. It was in his home, locked away and awaiting judgment, that our group came together to make a firm vow to improve ourselves and support each other as we grow. We adopted the name Redeviants, and our journey into the Underdark was on the way. Our goal? Travel to Aaravani's old Colosseum to try and earn some money. That brings us to our most recent adventure in the Underdark. After escaping the Kuatoa and their god pudding, we began our trek in earnest. Then we see it, the lights of a city otherwise obscured in darkness, and at its center, a Colosseum of awesome proportions. It dawned on us that we weren't necessarily going to Aaravani's old stomping ground, but rather a different kind of arena, one where the fights are deadlier, livelier, and much more rewarding. Less fun was walking into a trap placed by Sorrowsworn, horrific creatures with spikes for hands and feet, able to shoot what is essentially a fleshy grappling hook, grasping a target and pulling it into their murderous embrace. I almost got swallowed into whatever pit they call a home, but my companions managed to save me. Too close a call for my liking. On a lighter note, we next stumbled upon a not-so-humble farmer being accosted by pixies. We helped drive them off and introduce ourselves to Ermi, a farmer who raises creatures for the Beluseo. We meet some of his animals, including an intelligent crocodile named Andre, and a freaky frog-like creature named Bibi, which Sheelal took a real liking to for some reason. During our rest, Ermi was kidnapped by the Fae, who stormed the farm in the night. They demanded we return all his stolen animals. We decided to rescue Ermi, bringing along Andre and Bibi, with Sheelal riding inside of him somehow. Along the way, we encounter a wormling that attacks us. We dispatch them easily, but grow concerned that a dragon lurks nearby. We push on to the Fae regardless, who were waiting in a cavern where portals to both the Feywild and Shadowfell exist. They were led by a pixie named Veronica. We argue with Veronica, claiming her request was ridiculous as Ermi didn't steal any of her creatures. I'm still debating that personally, but that's unimportant. Suddenly, a Shadar Kai arrives and also demands where his creatures have gone off to. We all quickly point to Veronica, convincing him wholeheartedly she was the creature thief. Then, the dragon arrives and demands who killed her child. All at once, everyone points at Veronica. The dragon rends her soul and the souls of her companions before passing into the Feywild, undoubtedly off to seek her revenge on the Fae. The Shadar Kai thanks us and reclaims Bibi. Sheelal tearfully says his goodbyes, and we return Ermi to his home and let him rest up. That night, during one of her bouts of uncontrolled magic, Iska was stabbed by Raggax after he succumbed to some kind of influence from Leviatar. We stopped him from doing anything more, but our trust in him was significantly damaged. Ajax especially developed an immediate hatred for the goblin. Raggax explained his reasoning as needing the power Leviatar can give him. The next morning, Ermi gave us a reward for rescuing him, a unicorn horn, provided by his business partner, a literal unicorn. Finally, we made it to the city of Beluseo, its looming Colosseum in the distance, and it dawns on us that Aaravani's old Colosseum had another version in the Underdark, this one with more danger, deadlier fights, and more gold up for grabs. In an effort to avoid being recognized as the son of Malevius and Terravant, I decided to chop off the majority of my hair and take on an alias, Scarly. Though I question why I did it, most of the Redeviants struggle to remember to call me by that name. We settle in at the Sip Sleep and Steal, quite a nice inn if I say so myself, fitted with beds for rent, food to eat, and a smithy to arm and armor. That night, while in the bath, I am accosted by Vogo, son of Bogo, who informed me he would be tracking me. Apparently failing in Smolder Rock multiplied my debt so severely that Bogo now has to have someone watch me. Despite this, Vogo was more pleasant than his father. In addition, he modified my armor to become a gaudy advertisement for Bogo, turning it into a hideous yellow with an atrocious cape, featuring Bogo's doofy face. With my excitement for the Coliseo ruined, we spent the next day prepping, buying supplies, resting up, etc. The best stop by far was Brenda's boutique, a wonderful woman with a lot of heart. She agreed to sponsor us in the tournament and generously helped restore our wardrobe. Finally, the time for the tournament arrives. We all register and meet our handler, a hot-blooded, potty-mouthed genasi by the name of Torrent. Despite her bitterness, she did her job well and always cheered us on. Soon the first round began. One-on-one fights. Ajax is first, and it truly set the mood for our time in Beluseo. His opponent was none other than Iska. Not our Iska, but a different, older Iska by the moniker of Y. She was unbelievably powerful and extremely angry. She nearly slaughtered Ajax. Worse, though, was that our own Iska was nowhere to be found after Ajax's fight. Sheelal and Aaravani won their fights handily. Raggax lost to a gnoll named Sir Noliver. Everything rode on me winning. Losing would have meant the Redeviants run was over. Luckily, I fought a piddly little fairy named Puddlewaddle. I squashed him easily, and the party secured its place in round 2. The next day we just watch. We witnessed Drassel, a chiseled Leonin and lover of combat, in his fight. He was quite impressive. We also watch Iska's fight, and let's just say it didn't help my confidence. It's this day we also take notice of a particular group of half-sized humanoids spewing various bodily fluids. The Sweats. They also win their matches. By the gods, I wish they hadn't. We faced them in a King of the Hill battle after defeating another Bibby creature in round 2. I'd never been so wet in my life, even when swimming. They all were particularly moist, and worse, ludicrously powerful. It was a tough bout despite maintaining the lead most of the fight. We were knocked off the stage, getting overpowered, and doused in fluids. Their teamwork and coordination was unlike anything we'd ever seen. Ultimately, we came out on top, but no doubt will suffer from the experience for years to come. After defeating the Sweats, we learned next would be a proper battle royale. Drassel reconnects with us and convinces us to join forces with him, persuading us we have a chance against Y if we team up. We agree. Drassel also tells us about the Game Master, a man named Atreus. The name shook me, as it is also the name of my old tutor, and the closest person to an actual father I ever had. We decide to take shifts that night as Ajax had earned the animosity of many competitors. Thank the gods we did, as agents of Ajax's past came in the night, Lagrange family wizards. They were from our timeline, so they were all graviturgists. Ajax's old caretaker, Babs, called out to him. Ajax tried to go to them, but it was clear they meant to do us harm, a fact confirmed when we later learned the staff of the Sips Sleep and Steel had been slaughtered. We sought refuge in the local jailhouse, local law enforcement allowing it after the events of the night. Ajax was in a mood. Understandable, but certainly not helpful. Exhausted, he explained his story to Beluseo's guard captain, Grox. He explained he was from another timeline, and his existence here attracted the interest of this timeline's Lagrange family. Luckily, Grox believes us. He advises us to be careful as they investigate the Lagranges. The next day, we carefully head for the Coliseo for the Battle Royale. Ajax was heated, angry about running from Babs and the Lagranges. He expresses he may leave the group after the tournament, ending the conversation on a vicious point. Just as we enter the portal to the arena, we hear the familiar voice of Babs, and watch her kill our handler Torrent before we are transported to the arena, dropped into a thick jungle. We were forced to quickly move on from the events as we were now in the heat of competition. Our first hurdle? A giant ape. After a failed escape attempt, we decided to fight. We defeated the ape with surprising ease. The party and Ajax find some common ground, reminding everyone we're all in this together. We unite our focus, remembering we need to win it all. The arena consisted of multiple environments, a volcano in the center shooting balls of fire at the outer rims, slowly closing off playable area and forcing everyone to the center. Using a magical ring gifted from Zai to us earlier, we were able to find the bounties of other competitors. With this knowledge, we sought to hunt big bounty players in the hopes of lining our pockets and furthering our own place in the battle. Our hunt is unsuccessful as Y interferes. Luckily, Aaravani and myself talk her down, but not before our Iska appeared and struck down Ajax, tears in her eyes. We were able to resuscitate him, but the encounter left us all shaken. We make it to the center island with the volcano, having to fight through other competitors and a kraken of all things to do it. In the island, we are reunited with Drassel. The reunion was short-lived, as Lagrange wizards were dropping into the arena. Drassel directs us to a nearby cave with a tunnel and holds off the wizards as we escape. The tunnel takes us to the top of the volcano, where Y awaits us. She informs us she plans to blow up the arena with Iska's help, so she and her can escape. Doing so would kill all other competitors and level the city of Beluseo. Not wanting to be a part of another city's destruction, we attempt to talk her down. That plan fails when Drassel catches up and moves to attack her. Soon, more wizards and competitors arrive to join the fray. The fight is intense and brutal. The volcano nears destruction. Ajax makes himself invisible and sneaks past everyone to go find Iska. Sheelal uses his powers to seek out the assistance of spirits trapped in the arena, whose essence fuel the Colosseo. They agree to help our plight and destroy the Colosseo, giving us enough strength to survive. Suddenly, Aaravani advises us to jump into the lava below, stating a hidden portal awaits us. Taking the chance, we jump in. And by the gods, it works. As we are whisked away, two separate entities call out to us. One familiar to Aaravani, and one familiar to me. It turns out Aaravani was brought before his mysterious master, the devil Zai. As for me, I was beckoned by my old friend and tutor, Atreus. Sheelal joined Aaravani, and Raggax came with me. Atreus, who I thought hated me for what I had done to my siblings, comforted me. He told me he was afraid he had lost me to the darkness that exists within the Aaravani family, but he was so happy to see me. It felt as if I had a new lease on life. I do not know exactly the words shared between Era and Zai, but I was informed by Atreus that it would be the same as Atreus told me. That being, Zai was once king of the Dominion, and more importantly to me, my mother, believed by me to be dead for most of my life, is still alive somewhere. Atreus assures me she is safe, and tells me he loves her. Reeling from all this new information, he tops it off with another goal of his, to put me on the throne and depose Malevius. Knowing Zai was once king, I am unsure how he or Aaravani would take this news. I opt to keep this portion to myself. Despite the revelations in my own life, my thoughts lingered on Ajax, who did not manage to save Iska. He was able to grab hold of her, but as he tossed her into the lava, the Lagranges took control of the arena from Atreus and Zai, and stole away Iska. Ajax now trapped, we assume he had been taken prisoner as well. Atreus and Zai advise we travel to the city of Malumor and seek out the Zealot, who can apparently aid us in rescuing Ajax and Iska. He may be a fool who's made awful mistakes, but who in the Redeviants hasn't? Zai and Atreus portal us away, and the party is reunited with far more revelations than any of us were prepared for. I sit here now in Malumor with the rest of my friends, recording this entry and resting. My mind races. Will Ajax and Iska be okay? Will I make it up to Atreus and not fail him again? Will Y chase us? She disappeared after we were transported away, and Drassel... Hopefully he does not meet the same fate as Ajax. For now, I stay focused. We have friends to save. Brennen here. Once again, we find ourselves closing another exciting chapter of Arcane Amphitheatre, and this one was a doozy. And we can't thank you enough for sticking with us all this way. The Redeviants' newest adventure is coming soon, so don't go anywhere.